So what we're going to do is we're going to have a go at designing our case for the door buzzer, and to do that we're going to use this program here called Illustrator, which you can find in your start menu. Now I'm working on a Mac, so this might look slightly different to the way Illustrator is presented to you, but it shouldn't be too difficult. We should be able to find plenty of workarounds to make sure it all works just fine. So we're going to start off. I want to set up my workspace properly. I'm down over here on the left hand side. I've got all my most commonly used tools in Illustrator, and we'll go and have a look at some of them in a minute. And over on the right hand side over here I've got some extra little palettes that I can use. So I can just click this little arrow here, and that's going to expand out these palettes, and I can see that I've got some things about colour and types of brushes that I want and stuff like that all the way down here. And I just want to add to this a couple of useful little palettes that are going to help us out designing this case. So the way I do that is I'm going to come up to the window menu up here, click on window, and then I want to come down to Pathfinder. Okay, and when I click on Pathfinder it'll give me this box here with transform, align and Pathfinder in there, and there's some useful tools in there that we're going to be using in this project. Just to keep that off my main screen here, I'm going to dock it over on the right hand side just up at the top here, and you can see that as you start to place this box you'll get a little blue line indicating where it's going to be placed. Okay, so I'm just going to place it right up at the top there, and I've got my transform, align, Pathfinder neatly docked in these palettes over on the right here. There's one other one that I think is quite useful that we might want to use, and that is the navigator. So I'm going to do the same with navigator. I'm going to click navigator here and drag this over, and I'm going to place this just below the Pathfinder palette just there. Okay, so that's us all set up and ready to go. So the first thing we're going to want to do is create a new document. I'm going to come up to File and New, and I will get a box opening up asking me what I want my new document, how I want my new document set up. So let's give it a title: Door Buzzer, Door Buzzer, Buzzer Case. The profile is what you want to produce it for, what output you want. So it could be for printing, it could be for going on the web, it could be for various mobiles, for film, and this is the one I'm going to want. I just want basic RGB. So select basic RGB. Down here it's asking me what size, what units I want to use, and I do want millimeters, okay, because that's what we're going to be working in. And this is the size of my board, and you can see I can have lots of preset sizes here. Okay, I'm just going to choose a custom size though, so I'm going to make mine 300 millimeters by 300 millimeters. Okay, and that's my board now set up, so I just click OK, and Illustrator pops up with a new board like we see in front of us. So the next step is just to set up our document a little bit more, just to make it a little bit easier to do some work in. So I'm going to want to be able to see a grid in the background here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go down to show grid, and my grid will pop up just like so. Right, and this is going to help me be able to position all my elements. Now the grid at the moment, my grid's set up I think for 1mm intervals, and yours might not be. So the way to do that is on a Mac you'd come up to Illustrator and Preferences. I think in Windows it'll be on Edit, and then somewhere down here there'll be a Preferences option. So on Windows you're going to want to go to Edit and then choose your preferences there. I'll do it from here, and I can just come over here to where it says Guides and Grid, and here I can select my preferences for my guides, and then you can see down here I've got a grid line every 1mm. Probably want subdivisions to be 10, and click OK, and that's my board all set up. Now in Illustrator, if I want to zoom in and out of my artboard, okay, I can use a standard magnification tool, which is over here, right? And left clicking and dragging will zoom into a specific part of my artboard. Okay, or alternatively, I can just use the Control plus and Control minus keyboard shortcuts. So if I hit Control and minus, it will zoom out. And if you look over on my navigator over on the right here, you can see how much I'm zooming out. And Control and plus will zoom me right in. So let's just zoom out so I can see my whole artboard. And scroll down a little bit. Okay, so I've got my grid set up. The next thing I want is what are called rulers. Now rulers help me do measurements. So I'm going to come down to View and Rulers and just click on the Show Rulers, and then up vertically along here I get my rulers, and horizontally along here I get my rulers, and vertically here I've got rulers as well. All measurements in millimeters obviously. And you'll see that the top left up here, the top left corner of my artboard, is the origin with the coordinates of 0, 0, and then measuring across in millimeters. I've got 10, 20, 30. So as I move this way, I'm increasing my X value. As I move this way, I'm increasing my Y value, and that's going to be important later on. Okay, the rulers help us set up guides, and guides allow us to snap objects that we create to those guides. So I'll just show you how to do guides really quick. I'm just going to come over onto my selection tool here, which is the black arrow. That's the selection tool. I'm going to click in this ruler up here, and I'm just going to drag from here down. Okay, and I create this blue line, which is a guide. I've actually created two there accidentally, so I'm just going to delete one of those. Just click on that and hit delete. So I've got this guide here. Now this guide will allow me to snap shapes that I draw to that guide. And I can place this guide anywhere I like really. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place it randomly about there. Alright, and then I'm going to fine tune its position. In order to do that, I can click on the X and Y coordinates of my guide up here. Alright, now it's a horizontal guide. Absolutely horizontal. So its X coordinates aren't going to make much difference. I can make the X coordinates whatever I like, and it's not going to move the guide. But the Y coordinates here are quite important. So let me just move that to 100 mil, and we can see that my guide has dropped down here. Okay, so my guide's now on 100 mil. I'm now going to click over here and drag, and I've got another guide, a vertical guide, which I'm going to place. Now on this vertical guide here, the Y coordinates don't matter, but obviously the X do. So again, I'm going to place that to 100 mil. And now I have my guides all set up, intersecting at 100 and 100, which is what I want. Let me just zoom in just a little bit on that.